Hey 7th grade, so I'm going to show you how to start your Sugar Skull pillow once you have completed the practice sketch, and that looks something like this, and your practice sewing. When you are thinking about starting your pillow, I have templates that you are going to use to cut out the shape of the fabric for your pillow. So because my sketch was on number 2, the template, I'm also going to use the number 2 template to cut out my burlap. So first thing I'm going to need to do is I need to flatten out a piece of this cream burlap. There are a lot of folds in it, but I wouldn't mind those because once we stuff our pillow, those folds should be pulled nice and tight and you won't mind them. And then my job is to grab my template. I only have 3 of each template, so we are going to need to share, and place it somewhere along the edge of my burlap. The reason why I want to do it on the edge is because I am limited with my burlap. So we want to make sure that we have enough for everyone. And if I just do it smack dab in the middle of the burlap, it really does just waste a lot. So making sure I'm lining up my shape with the edge of my burlap is what's going to save us the most fabric. Then I will take a marker and just carefully trace my template onto my fabric, using one hand to hold down my template and the other hand to trace. I will need two of the exact same shape before I start sewing. So that is one, and now I know I need another one, so I'm gonna go ahead and trace it again. Of course, right beside it so I don't waste any fabric. You're using the template to ensure that you have the same shape for both pieces. So I would advise you to do the same. Next step is to cut it out, and I'm going to speed this up. So now that I have my 2 equal pieces of fabric, I need to go ahead and start sewing. So you're going to start sewing the same way you did the practice sewing, but the most important thing I can tell you to do is to take the side that has the orange marker that you can barely see, and make sure that that orange marker is on the outside when you put your 2 pieces of fabric together and you begin to sew. The reason being is once we sew our entire pillow together, we will then flip it inside out before we stuff it. And we want to make sure that all of that marker doesn't show on the outside. So it needs to be on the outside at first, so that when we flip it over, it becomes on the inside. And then once you are complete with your sewing, you will move on to the details. So I'm going to show you that in time lapse because you already know how to sew. So now that I'm about halfway done, you can see what I'm looking for with your overstitch. I'm looking for them to be really close together near the edge, but not too close to the edge where it doesn't actually sew. And then if I were to flip it inside out, just to take a sneak peek of what it will look like, you can see that I can barely see my stitches, which is the goal. So I'm going to finish sewing the rest of this other half. This probably took me about 40 minutes to do. So if we're really focused, we can do this in a few days of art class. When I call for cleanup, just remember, wherever you are, you're just going to take your needle out of the thread. Make sure that it is placed right back in your green or whatever bucket is on your table, so that I have my 4 needles, all of my materials placed back And this will go in the storage box with your color. If you need to, you can use masking tape to put your name on the burlap, because most of them will look very similar at this stage, and then we'll move on to the details next time.